Hey guys, I've done a little arrangement of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star that sounds a little bit dreamlike and a little bit magical, and I'm going to break it down for you so you can get some tips on reharmonizing existing melodies and some tips on voice leading, color and structure too. So I'll play it through and then I'll share with you my process. So there it is, and the place I want to start is the bass line of the first section. So the bass line that people are expecting is this. And I think this feels nice. I think the piece is moving along slowly and it feels really sweet. But what I envision for this section is something really dreamlike, almost as if we're stuck in a really nice moment. And to do that, I'm going to introduce a pedal point in the bass line on this C. And you'll see what I mean. It sounds a little bit more like we're stuck in a dream. The next steps from here is, now we've got the bass line and the melody, I started to think about the two inner voices. So the first chord, I'm going to start the piece off with what everyone expects, and that's a C major chord. Then the second chord, I'm going to then give them the F. They expect that too, but now it's time to move on and give something that they don't expect. So I'm trying to balance something familiar with something new. So here we've got the C, and everyone expects us to go back down to the C. And if you'll notice that the two inner voices go. So it's E and G, F and A, back to E and G. So the audience expects the two inner voices to drop down. But what can we do to defy the audience's expectations? We can do the opposite. So I'm going to try, instead of going down, I'm going to try stepping up. So that little moment is a little bit of a harmonic magic trick, because it's something we don't expect, but it feels right. And it also lands on a suspension, which helps the emotion of being stuck in that really nice moment. So in between these little phrases in the first section, I didn't want it to just hang. I don't want audiences to get boring when the music stops. So I wanted just to add in a little bit of ear candy, and to do this in a really sweet sounding way, you just play around with some open fifths high up, really soft, and occasionally add in a seventh. So that creates a little bit of magic, and because this is an arrangement of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I like to think of this sound up here as the little stars twinkling. So in that sense, I think it works. So after we finish this section, I feel like it's time to finally bring some momentum to the piece. So I'm just playing with this open fifth down here, the C and the G. We've been stuck with the pedal point up here for so long that it's finally time to give momentum. And the next section, I wanted to have quite a bit of momentum, so I needed to create a little transition. So sometimes it's just as simple as this. And then the audience gets the idea, the piece is starting to move, and then we move. So here, it's familiar because we hear the same melody. And what I wanted was something different. I wanted to create a little bit of contrast from the first section, which was up here, all very dreamlike, magical, happy feeling. I wanted to give a bit of contrast from that to a little bit more of an emotional, deep, kind of even sad feeling, just to give the piece a lot more character and a few more colors than it initially has, because the original's just happy the whole way through. So everyone's expecting the melody to start in this grand C major chord, but I started on A minor just to give it that extra emotion. So here I'm just doing a 4-chord thing. It's A minor, F major, C major and G major. The left hand is just arpeggiating each one. And to give it that extra emotion and that depth, you'll notice that the first section was playing up here. Now this section is playing deeper, and I kind of think of that as the emotions are getting a little bit deeper, the piece is getting a little bit more heavy. So this section has a lot of momentum, as you can hear, much more than the first section, and once this section is done, I need to come back, or I'd like to come back to the first section again, just to bookend the piece and strip all the momentum away and take us back to that suspended dreamlike state. But in order to move us out of all of this momentum into something that has no momentum, I have to create a little bit of a transition. So this bit is not part of the piece, but it just takes us into the next part where the melody comes back. So in this section, what I've done is a typical film scoring thing, coming from a film scoring background, is we're ending on the 5th chord of the C major scale, and we're ending on a sus4 of that 5th chord. So this is a G sus4, which falls to G, and what this does is this kind of holds, then resolves, and then when it returns to G, it gives us that nice perfect cadence. So because of that, it's a nice end to the phrase. In our minds, it ends the previous section and now we can move on. But this suspended thing, it distracts us from the fact that the rhythm is now slowing down. And then we can move on to this again, and we go from from the fast rhythmic section to the slow section really smoothly now. And now the piece is bookended here. So I want to talk about this too. This ending is a little trick to do with reharmonizing a melody note. So the audience expects the melody to go end on this C, and I give it to them too, but that's not where I trick them. So they're expecting this C chord, but I'm not done messing with what the audience expect. So what I'm going to do is find a chord that contains this C note, that it'll feel right, theoretically, but it will be different and unexpected. So when I was writing this, I just found a bunch of chords that contain the C, tried them all out, and I just picked the one that felt the most correct. So I could have done an F, an F minor, an A, but the one I ended up using, it just felt the most correct to me. I don't know why, it just did, was the A flat major. And now here, the bass note is on A flat. We finally want it to end up on the C, so I've just done a stepwise motion just to walk back up to where we want it to be. So now we want to end here. And so in the middle, I've just got the B flat that steps up, and I just harmonize that. And then we end on the C. So that's kind of a little bit of my process behind that arrangement. So hopefully you've learned some of the things I implemented, some of the harmonic choices, some of the structure choices, the rhythm, and different colors, and some voice leading stuff too. So I highly recommend you go and try to do your own arrangements of nursery rhymes, just because they have such simple melodies. They can be harmonized in many ways, and I'd really love to see some of the stuff you come up with. So good luck, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, just before you go, make sure you click here to subscribe, and we've got thousands of other videos all on the topic of music education and teaching, so make sure you check out some of those other ones here, and I'll see you in the next video.